Hey everybody, I'm Andy from Ward's Equipment Rental, and today I'm really excited to go ahead and show you how to function and operate our 45XA drivable man lift made by Haulotte. I want to start off by thanking Outlaw Performance for letting us use their nice barn so we didn't have to shoot this in the cold winter out here, and we can show you how to use this. This 45XA drivable man lift is equipped with two different power sources. One is 8 deep cycle marine batteries and the other one is an engine. Understanding the differences between those two and how they correlate together is actually critical to the overall functioning of your rental. And I want to explain to you the difference between the two. This machine runs on batteries. It does not run on your engine. And the reason why we're telling you that is because if you drain the batteries, you will not be able to run this machine without charging it for at least 2 hours. Preventing draining these batteries all the way down is going to be critical to having a full day or week or 4-week operation, depending on how long you've rented it for. I want to explain to you how to not drain the batteries down. It's important to understand that this machine has many axes. It has drive, it has primary, secondary, telescope, jib, rotation, and all those. We do drop this off to you with 8 fully charged batteries. You will be able to run all of the axes except one for 15 hours without it being plugged in or the engine running. Then we have the drive axis. This machine actually allows you to drive on the batteries, which we recommend not doing. You actually only have 15 minutes of drive time on the batteries. So 15 hours with your other stuff, 15 minutes with that. So how do we drive without draining the battery? Our other power source, which is the engine, serves two main functions. Understanding its functions are absolutely critical to the operation that you're doing. The engine serves two things. One is it will subsidize one of your axes, and it happens to be the drive portion of this machine. Whenever you're driving, I always at all times recommend running the engine. When you are running the engine while driving, it will not drain your batteries. The second function that the engine serves is it has a built-in generator. In a little bit later part of this clip, we're gonna show you how to start the engine and how to turn the built-in generator on so it can charge. Keep in mind that an alternative way to charge this machine is to simply plug it in with a 110 volt cord, which will also show you the two different ways to charge this machine. When I personally use this machine, what I like to do is I like to start the engine, drive to where I'm going, I shut the engine off, and then I go ahead and utilize the rest of its functionality. But I very rarely ever drive on the batteries because I don't want to be down for a couple hours. There are two different ways to charge these batteries. One is to simply plug it in. You can take a standard extension cord and you can go ahead and simply plug it right into this whip up front there, and it's now charging the machine. The alternative to plugging it in is to, from the basket, go ahead and start it up and then turn the generator on. You'd be surprised to know the amount of people who actually run these machines all day, reduce the battery charge, and overnight decide to plug it in only to find out the next morning that their plug didn't have electricity or it wasn't plugged in properly. At the rental center, when we charge it, we actually use these cords with illuminated ends, which shows that this cord has electricity. You may not have that, and if you don't, I'm gonna show you how to combat the oops, I plugged it in without electricity syndrome. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go over here and plug it in. And what you can do to verify that it's actually charging is you can open this latch, rotate it counterclockwise, and this whole gray lid opens up. And just take a quick peek here at this battery charger, and you can see that it has a blue and a green light. That's indicative of the fact that it's getting electricity. Sometimes just a simple check will verify that you're getting electricity to that. We've had situations where people have had either a blown breaker, a bad extension cord, or maybe a tripped GFI, and their cord essentially wasn't plugged in. Now they're down for the rest of the day because it wasn't charged all night. For safety while going down the road, it's the law to have these latched down. Make sure before you go up with any of your axes that your boom latches are undone. It's basically done with a trigger finger. You can see that it's locked. You're gonna go ahead and squeeze that trigger finger and get that off. And then you go over here and you get those two boom latches off. When we deliver, generally speaking, we will go ahead and unlatch those for you, but before operation, we definitely recommend verifying that the two latches are undone. As far as the drive function of this machine, it has the ability to go up and down a maximum of a 45-degree hill. I will tell you that going down a hill that steep, I would only recommend going either straight down or straight up. It doesn't tip forward or backwards. It could only, in theory, tip side to side, which is why I would recommend, if going down a hill that steep, to go either straight down or straight up. In addition, if you are on soft ground or going up or down a steep hill, as always, we recommend having the engine running. We think you should have it running while you're driving anyways, but having the engine on gives you 3-wheel drive as opposed to running it with a battery, which only gives you 1-wheel drive. On soft soil, you'll find that you might only have 1 wheel spinning. That's because the engine's not on. So turning it on while driving up and down a hill is probably important. Once you get this to your job site where it's going, or we deliver it, what you're gonna do is, from the ground, you're gonna go ahead and open this aluminum lid. It has a key, and the key has 3 different positions. Up and down, which is off, and that's right now. To the left, which is gonna give you access to control from this lower panel. And to the right, which is gonna allow you to function from the basket. Most of your functioning, unless you're a tree trimmer and you have somebody else controlling you, is going to be done from the basket. You have the ability to control your outriggers, turn on your engine, turn on and off your generator, and do all of your axis functionality all from the basket. I want to talk about a couple common problems with this machine. People get comfortable with this machine, and what they do is, from the off position, they'll turn it on, and they'll do a quick press of one of these buttons. It actually makes this computer get a little bit funky. We discovered that it has about a 30-second where it initializes, and we recommend, once you turn it on, to, without pushing any buttons, let it wait while it starts to think. So an operation like that would look kind of like this. I'm gonna turn it on. I can hear it running its performance diagnostics, and I can see now it's ready to go, and we can go. So avoid hitting any buttons within the first 20 to 30 seconds to start up. So our solution to that, let's just say that if you do get it a little bit glitched out from turning it on and hitting the button too quick, is really simple. You basically just shut the machine off. We wait 20 or 30 seconds, and we turn the machine back on and allow it to run its diagnostics all by itself. This machine is equipped with 2 e-stops. A lot of people use these emergency stops as just a way to shut off the machine, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. There's one red e-stop on the lower panel, and there's one up top, obviously in case of any sort of emergency, if it was going up uncontrollably or any sort of weird function, which we've never experienced before. But if it was, that e-stop is going to shut down the entire electrical system. It's basically just a push-in button, and it's really no different than just turning the key off, but yet you have access to it up top. Once we've went ahead and hit the e-stop button and we want to get back to functionality, it's really just as simple as pulling it back out. Again, a reminder that computer is turning back on again. Give it about 20 to 30 seconds before you hit your first button, and it'll function perfectly. The fact that this machine has the ability to auto level is amazing. Understanding the basic framework of how it auto levels is also important too. There are 4 outriggers that are on this machine, and the outriggers are equipped with a hydraulic cylinder. Why am I telling you this? And the reason why is because the hydraulic cylinder has a certain length. It can only go so far, and that's why we like to emphasize that it has a 19-degree gradability. The ability to correct from an unlevel ground that is 19 degrees. You can have 4 different elevations on each outrigger, as long as there's not a 19-degree difference between its highest and its lowest elevation. This machine has the ability to self-level all by itself. If you're not able to level the machine, in other words, all 9 lights, The solution is, generally speaking, to move the machine. As long as you don't have any fault codes or anything weird inside of the display panel here, it's generally a situation where your grade is too steep, and sometimes even rotating the machine and repositioning it in the same spot in a little bit different area is enough to go ahead and make these level. Some people put cinder blocks or boards of wood underneath the outriggers. It's important for us to indicate that we never, for any circumstances, recommend that. It's dangerous, and I would not recommend putting anything on there. These pads are designed to go directly onto solid ground. The other thing that's important to know is that tipping the machine. There are really only two ways to tip this machine. We've been fortunate enough to never have it happen, but I want to tell you the two different ways that you could tip it. One is overloading. If you overload this machine, this has a 1 or 2 person limit and up to 500 pounds that can reside within this basket. Overloading the machine could result in tipping, which again, we never recommend overloading it. The other way that you can tip this machine is by putting the outriggers on a surface that is soft. Putting them on a surface that is soft, because this machine has the ability to articulate, and when it articulates to the north, it's really heavy on the north outriggers. If they were on a, for instance, soft swamp, you risk the outriggers actually sinking in there, although likely a slow tip, not something you would want to be in the basket for. As a safety measure, it requires 2 buttons at once in order to get these outriggers to go. So we have extend and retract and auto level. So what we're gonna do is we've turned the key to the left, which enacts this panel, and we're gonna hit extend and auto level simultaneously. What we're gonna do is stay committed to extend and auto level until we get a long beat. You're gonna find that it's gonna shake a little bit and find its level. I'm staying committed. That long beep is gonna be the final beep that shows you have all 9 lights. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 indicates your level. If any of those lights are not illuminated, it will not allow operation because it knows it's not level. Now we're ready to go ahead and do our functionality. And I'm gonna show you what the functionality at first looks like from this lower basket, but it's important to understand that you'll probably be doing the majority of your functionality from the upper basket. We are now not even messing with the auto level section. We're just to basically all of the axes with this machine here. And even though there's a lot of buttons here, we have basically up and down with your primary, up and down with your secondary, in and out with your telescope, up and down with your jib, which has that aluminum piece there, and tilt the basket, and this rotates your whole boom. So all of these are just a up and down thing. Just like you had to hit 2 buttons here, you got to hit 2 buttons over here too. So you're going to want to do the speed of what function that you want, along with the axis that you want to do at the same time. What we like to do generally is our primary boom up first. This machine sits inside of a cradle here, and there's 2 switches that are enacted that will not allow it to rotate until it's out of the cradle. So as far as the first axis that I choose is, you gotta hit your speed that you wanna do, plus which function you wanna do. So I'm gonna do rabbit, and I'm gonna hit my primary boom up, and that's gonna get it up out of the cradle. Now that we're up out of the cradle, it's going to allow us to use the remainder of our axes, which is going to be your secondary, your telescope, your jib, and your basket. And I'll show you what those look like. One interesting fact about this rotation is that it rotates 350 degrees, not 360. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because with this machine, you'll have the ability to go all the way around and get it almost back into the cradle, but not quite. The solution is to actually go back around the other way until you can get it in. And your rotation are these 2 in the bottom. One does left, one does right. So we're gonna do, in this case, rabbit, rotate to the right, or rabbit and rotate to the left. Though I think it goes without saying, now that we're where we need to be, whether we're painting or trimming a tree, when we're in a location, we are ready to go ahead and do our first matter of business, which is going to be engaging the outriggers. Similar to down below, it's not even similar, it's actually identical. You're gonna go ahead and hit extend and auto level. Again, no need to manually address the individual outriggers. They have this handy dandy auto level button if done properly, and if it's on a level that it allows, you're gonna end up with 9 lights. So let's go ahead and hit extend and auto level. We're gonna stay committed. And again, we're gonna be waiting for that one long beep. Did you notice that I didn't let up after I got all 9 lights? That ensures that the machine is absolutely level, and you can see now that we have our lights, it'll allow us to go over and do the rest of our axis functionality. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and select which axis you wanna go. The functionality on this upper panel, where you're gonna spend likely the majority of your time, is actually much simpler. You can select your primary boom, your secondary boom, your telescope, your basket tilt, or your rotation. Similar to like we showed you down below, one of the things that you'll want to go ahead and do is, I like to start with my primary boom. This joystick has forward and backwards, okay? Each one obviously is going to do the opposite. So when you're all leveled and you've selected your boom, it has a safety. It won't go unless you're squeezing this red. And we're gonna go ahead and squeeze this. And that takes us up with our primary. We can then switch to our secondary, which we'll go ahead and again squeeze this. That brings us up with our secondary. We got our telescope. The telescope, when you pull back, it's gonna bring it back. When you go forward, brings it forward. This is our basket. You're gonna change this. This is gonna be our jib. And let me try to make it go the right way. Okay. And that's our jib. And this is our rotation. So when you do your rotation and you squeeze this, you go forward, it's gonna rotate you one way. You stop, squeeze, go back. It's gonna rotate you the other way. So that pretty much concludes our understanding of how the outriggers function and how our axes function. Now I can show you some of these other buttons, and that should be it. So this panel is divided into 3 main sections. You have your outrigger controls, you have your different axes that control that functionality that work in conjunction with this throttle trigger here. And you have these sections here. I want to show you what this section does and how it functions, because the majority of this operation is generally going to be done within this basket, and this computer will pretty much do all of your functionality minus turning the machine on with the key down below. You got here, you have your key, which starts your engine. You have your choke, which you generally hold while starting, especially on cold days. You got your horn. This is your 2-speed operation. This is slow. That is fast. You got your engine shut off. You got your generator button, which we'll show you in a moment. And then this is a crawler feature that allows your other wheels to rotate, but we're actually not equipped with that feature, so you'll notice that this button is dead and we don't do anything with it. So we're ready to go ahead and drive. What we want to do, as a reminder, is we always want to drive on our engine. So the way that we generally start our engine is we're going to hit choke. It's totally normal for that to tick. And then we're going to go ahead and start it. And we let go of both of them. On some situations, it actually, on really cold days, it might want you to hold that choke for a little while it gets warmed up. You got to kind of listen to the sound of the engine. One of the big misconceptions with this machine is when the engine's running, that it is essentially charging the machine, and that's not true. Until you turn the generator on, it is not charging the machine. A friendly reminder that plugging the machine in is no different than running the engine with the generator. Now we're charging. Now we're not charging. Okay. This is what kills our engine here. We're gonna hold it. Okay, so we've gone over the fact that it starts, the choke, holding the choke sometimes on a cold day after it starts, our horn, our fast and slow function, engine kill, and for us to turn our generator on. So it's important to understand that this machine will not allow you to retract the outriggers while up in the air. You can see here it's saying fully lower platform into the stowed position for outrigger operation. As a safety measure, when hitting retract and auto level, it will not allow you to retract your auto level or your outriggers for safety reasons until you're back home. Getting back home, just like down below, is a matter of hitting both limit switches. So let's go ahead and get ourselves back into the cradle position so we can bring our outriggers up and relocate to the next area of our project. We'll start by go ahead and maybe bringing our telescope in, which we were only out an inch or so. And let's go ahead and select our secondary, and we're gonna bring it down. The secondary has a hard stop, which is perfectly fine. It hits that hard stop, no problem at all. We're gonna use our primary, and we're gonna go down. And there's our hard stop with our secondary, and this is where we're gonna stop. And I can tell that we're not lined up with our cradle. It's hard to do when you're up high. So let's go ahead and hit our rotation. And this one's a little finicky, but we're gonna wanna get it right to where we can. Let's see if we can get going the right way first. Here, hold on. So I'm gonna feather this right over our cradle there, and we'll go back to selecting our primary. All right, so the first one's dropped in the cradle. We gotta hit our second one, which is our switch down there, and that's gonna require tilting our jib right back in. Now you can see that it is no longer blinking fully lower the platform because we've done that. So now we can hit retract, auto level. Our tires are back in the ground. We've lost our lights. You can also see that drive mode immediately went on. Drive mode is just a fancy name for we are in the stowed position and our outriggers are up. Drive mode automatically turns on when your outriggers are up and you're in our stowed position. It now drives.